Day 5 of the World Athletics Championships ends with two women sharing the gold medal in the women's pole vault. A back-to-back British heist in the men's 1500 meters, and top-class displays from Paulino in the women's 400-meter final and Karsten Warholm in the men's 400-meter hurdles final. All of that and more as we unpack this extraordinary day 5. These World Championships just keep giving and giving. And I want to thank you for joining me tonight. And we're going to get straight into it because there's a lot of things to cover. But it's only fitting that we start the evening by unpacking the final race of the evening session, the men's 400 meters. A fantastic performance by Warholm. I keep telling you guys, I've been saying it for a long period of time. When Karsten Warholm is fit, there is nobody on the planet that can touch him. Nobody. Maybe at some point, the Santos can do it, but if you are asking for Mr. Rai Benjamin, then you're fresh out of luck. Karsten Warholm of Norway is now a 3-time world champion. To add to his Olympic title, the world record is getting close. Dare I say it, is getting close. I don't want to say it yet, but he may be the best ever. A certain Edwin Moses may have something else to say about that, but we'll get to that. He still has a good amount of career to go. But Warholm dominates the field. He takes the goal in a time of 46.89 seconds. The only man in the final to dip below 47 seconds. And what a lovely performance by Karen McMaster of the BVI, giving that tiny nation their first World Championship medal, a silver in a time of 47.34. The kind of resilience of that lad. Suffered a lot of injuries. He came onto the scene. And if you remember last night in my preview, I said, this is the night. If you wanted to get on the medal podium for McMaster, this would be it. Because he looked good through the rounds, he looked good, and you said to yourself, he's going to factor. And I wasn't sure where the likes of an Alison dos Santos would land this year, just because he shouldn't be there. We have to be honest. He shouldn't be there because he had knee surgery, but that also shows his resilience. So I thought coming into this championship that the bronze medal would be up for grabs. I didn't really think that Rai Benjamin would have given up the silver medal. A lot of talk had been made about how good Rai was in form and the kind of shifting of the hurdling technique and what he's going to do to put pressure on Warholm. But I've said it before, that guy's in his head. And there is no way you're going to beat the man from Norway. Call him whatever you want, the Viking, the Terminator. When he's in peak condition, peak health, there's no one that can touch him right now. And he's a fantastic, fantastic individual. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining me, unpacking that 400-meter hurdles final at first. And make sure to put your thoughts, your comments. What was a standout performance for you this evening? Because it was a notable evening, and I'll get through many of these things. And I want you to, if you've been joining me all week, I want you to continue to join me. We'll be giving away a prize or so later on this week. So hopefully you can come on these lives and, engage and maybe you might be getting a shot at winning something before the week is over. So continuing along, I want to also say something about the 4th place winner, Rashawn Clark, the world under 20 record holder, smashed that in the semifinal, and he had to run really hard to make sure he got into that final behind Warholm in his semifinal. Only managed a 48.07 this today, and I'm saying only as if that's something that's not commendable. It's fantastic. The kid just come on the scene, national record holder as well for Jamaica, and to run those times back to back as a youngster, first international meet, it would be hard for him to repeat another 47. And so there's nothing you have to look at him and just give him a lot of credit for his performance. And I think he has a long future ahead of him. It's unfortunate for Dos Santos. Also looked fairly good in his semifinal, I believe, behind Benjamin. But you just know that this was probably going to be one race too many, especially given the sort of troubles he had earlier on. I was also not quite sure, and I kept saying this when you look at that Diamond League coming into that World Championship, the last one, he didn't look good when he came off one of those hurdles. He had grimaced somewhat, and I suspected at the time that he may have not showed up here, and he did. And so, fantastic performances again from Dos Santos, just to be in the mix, trying to compete for a medal. It was just a step too far for him. But I thought tonight Warholm for Dos Santos rather, but for Warholm, he reigned supreme, and if he's healthy again next year, I don't really think we can bet against him. I would like to see a fit and healthy Dos Santos come back, because I know he has a lot of potential too. He may be the one that could really challenge him, and we'll see what happens when it comes to the likes of a Clark. Trevor Bassett kind of disappointed me as well, but it was a good competition, and there's not much we can say. I mean, I think this is how we think about it, right? You wanted to see it. I thought at some point we'd have gotten a few of these guys going on the 47 seconds. Even McMaster I thought would have been approaching that, but it wasn't to be, and only Warholm did this, and in the end he won this comfortably. All right, thank you for joining me, and we're unpacking a number of things that occurred today, and we just got started. And don't forget to smash that like button. All right, so I want to move along, and I want to go to the next final of the night that I thought was really, really important, and something that we have to unpack. And I want to talk about the women's 400-meter final. Paulino of the Dominican Republic delivered a sensational performance. The Olympic silver medalist dominated the field. She even had a little time to ease up in the last few meters, I would say. And she clinched that gold medal in a fantastic new national record of 48.76 seconds. Ahead of Natalia Kazmarek from Poland, who secured that silver medal, and also Williams from Barbados to clinch another bronze medal in 49.60, which I thought was a clutch performance, her second medal over this distance at two major world championships. I've been bullish about Paulina this year, even when we had the likes of a Sydney McLaughlin. I knew Paulina was going to drop a sub 49. National record there. She was also fresh. She didn't run her country didn't run that mixed 4x4 relay. And so it was really good to see this. And it was her against the clock, I would have to imagine. But even if a Sydney McLaughlin would have been there, I think Paulina had an extra gear. I'm not saying she would have won, but judging the way she navigated that race, I thought it was a fantastic performance. And I'm kind of wondering what really happened to the likes of a Diggs. Also, Clava to me, I believe up to 300 meters was really in the mix, and then faded badly also. And the likes of an Adelike, I think, once again, it showcases that it's just one step too far for some of these collegiate athletes. Rashidat is a fantastic talent. I'm sure in years to come, once healthy, once she's making the kind of progress, she is very likely to get onto a medal podium. But the night belongs to Paulino, silver medalist at the Olympic Games, medalist again, and now at the World Championships before, and now she's on top of the podium. And the women's 400 meters really a healthy place. It's a very competitive marketplace, and especially at the World Championships, we see a lot of new champions year after year, outside of Mila Weber, who managed to win back-to-back titles at the Olympic Games. Nobody's dominating the medals all the time. And so it's a very competitive space, and it sets us up for, I think Paulino could potentially run some more fast stands for the rest of the year, even though that might not be necessary. But what it means is that come next year, it's gonna be very hot in the Olympic Stadium in Paris. If all of these women continue to improve, and I suspect the likes of Adelike and so on, some other youngsters in the mix, they will come next year. And who knows, you may end up off the medal podium at a major championships running 48 seconds. And if that were to happen, then there's a lot more progress when we think about these things. So thanks everyone again for joining me. We're here to break it down. And don't forget to put your thoughts and your comments in the chat. We're here discussing the World Athletics Championships and the performances tonight. Fantastic performance from Karsten Warholm, an equally fantastic performance, or maybe even better if you think about it in the context of what Paulino managed to do. All right. And now I want to shift gears and go around the track a few times. And I want to talk about the men's 1500 meters. If there was a British heist to be had, this is it. In what can only be considered a jaw-dropping performance. I mean, where did that come from? Where did Josh Kerr come from? Everybody left stunned. Maybe not everybody, but most people. Because here am I in all of my early predictions and talking about Jakob and the lesson he would have learned last year. I didn't even think twice about it. I was saying to myself, Ingebrigtsen was possibly going to come and challenge the championship record. And then we were starting to think about whether or not the world record can come at some point in time. Not so fast. Not so fast. I mean, I'm left stunned. I have to be honest with you. I don't know what happened tonight because Jakob appeared in full command early. He looked poised for the win in my estimation. He started to pick up the pace on the final backstretch. Then you saw Kerr coming and surging forward, and I was like, okay, both of them shoulder to shoulder. I think Jakob still had something in the tank. That's what I was expecting, but he had nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in 2 consecutive major finals over 1500 meters, Ingebrigtsen was outpaced by Kerr on the home stretch. This is a problem for me. I mean, he's failing twice over something that he's heavily favored for. And it doesn't even look particularly great when he's playing around in the semifinals. I mean, I don't think most people had Kerr anywhere close to this. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, Kerr is also, I think, training partner, or if not training partner, same track club as the defending champion who was unable to be here, Whiteman. 3:29.38. Ingebrigtsen ran 3:27 this season. He has a lot of questions to answer for me. Just like Lemaitre Germa last night, I think Ingebrigtsen has a lot of questions to answer. But congratulations to Josh Kerr. Fantastic performance. Jakob gets second again. His countryman Nordus also picking up a fantastic medal, closing heavily on the stretch. And it's a European dominated thing. The Africans have been shut out. Kipsang from Kenya finishing fourth. There was a lot of talk also about Negus. He didn't factor either. Some people had Cole Hocker as well. I wasn't quite sure about that. But the night belongs to the man from Great Britain. And I suppose he's out of the Edinburgh Track Club, I think. So electrifying performance. And it was also fitting to see Sebastian Coe, the president of World Athletics, a man who has won 1500 meters in the 1980s at the Olympics in Moscow and in, I think, Los Angeles, giving him that initial fake medal that they give. But the Europeans, back-to-back British guys winning, and they must think they're in a healthy space. Fantastic performance. Fantastic performance. All right, so thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Let me know where you're joining me from. I mean, I see some people on the live, but it's mostly silent. Were you shocked by this Ingebrigtsen thing? And is it a mental question? Is it a mental thing at this stage? Because he looked devastated. I don't really know what's happening to Jakob, and he may just come back and do a very good run in the 5,000 meters, but there's a lot of questions that he needs to be answered, and Jakob hasn't been doing that. 2 years in a row, he has to get it right to defend his Olympic title. Otherwise, we're going to ask a lot of questions next year as well. All right, I want to go to what I thought was a fiercely competitive event as well, but an event that ended in similar fashion to the men's high jump at the Tokyo Olympic Games, when Mutsat Barshim and Gianmarco Tamberi decided from a collective standpoint to share the gold medal. And a lovely performance from both Nina, particularly from Nina Kennedy from Australia, and Katie Moon from the United States. Both women were fiercely competitive tonight. Both of them were leading marks of 4 meters 90. Part of me was a bit selfish and as you know, both of them failed at 4 meters 95, and they had similar record. And so in a situation like that, they could have continued to jump, or they could decide to share the gold medal. And I suppose in a fitting fashion, they decided to share that gold medal. I guess Nina, I don't know what the reasoning is, and Nina probably feels like Katie is back-to-back medalists, gold medalists, Olympic medalists, and World Championship medalists, and giving her another shot at something might be problematic. So they both decided to take a gold medal. I think that's probably a reasonable thing. Some people might think you should continue until you have only one winner, but it also shows a level of camaraderie. The Finnish athlete Mortar finishing with the bronze medal, because there's no silver being handed out at this championship, 4 meters 80. But it's lovely to see two women at that stage, and I was only hoping that they could have gotten over the 495 mark, because it's approaching, I think, is it almost a decade or so? It's approaching a very long time since we've seen a 5 meter mark in a women's pole vault. And so it's about time we start to get people jumping high. And I'm really happy for Nina, happy again for Katie. I think Katie has been a standout in the last few years, carrying the flag for women's pole vault. And this was a fantastic evening to witness this. If you weren't there, if you weren't watching, I urge you to go back and watch, because I think the Australian decided to come up big, and that's where the pressure occurred. If you look at the series, then I could bring up this. I don't know if I have the series here, but I can bring it up if we were to look at the series just to see, how fiercely competitive it was, and the dramatic nature of it was also something that I was really happy about. I'll just pull up the series real fast because I just wanted to look at it. So if you looked at the results, what you would have seen was, I believe that it was in round 5, right? Was it not round 5? There's no rounds, but she did it late, I think, in order to get to that 4-meter 90 mark, and she came and it was fun. Yeah, it was on the second one, I think, or the third one, and third attempt rather. So excellent performance by these women. I hope when we get to the Paris Olympics next year, we will end up in a situation of seeing women approaching that 5-meter mark again. I don't think, when was the last time we saw that was a very long time. Isambayeva used to do it a lot, and we're past that, and I think it's about time we get back to such a wonderful type of jumping in the women's thing. All right, thanks again, everybody, for joining me. I hope you were enjoying the evening's performance, and yeah, and so those were the big finals that happened. The 400-meter hurdles, Warholm again, massive performance by Paulino, big time performance by Josh Kerr. I haven't been bigging him up enough. I need to give him more credit than I'm doing. It's just that it's shocking to see the likes of a Jakob Ingebrigtsen succumb to the same fate as he did last year at the World Championships in Oregon. And then, obviously, fantastic performance over the pole vault, women's pole vault, with Kennedy and Moon out of the United States. All right. I want to shift gears now and talk about the very much competitive women's 100-meter hurdle semifinal. That was something to behold. Something to behold. I'm telling you, I don't know what we're going to see tomorrow, but it's going to be a super final, and we can talk about it. We can break it down in a second in terms of who we think might win the title and so on. But I want to start off by, before I break it down, maybe to say commiserations again to the Olympic bronze medalist Megan Tapper out of Jamaica. I can only imagine that she's going through a lot right now, because it's just unbelievable that for 2 years in a row she cannot qualify because she's one of the she finished outside of the qualification mark, and then doesn't qualify because her time isn't fast enough. It is tough on Megan, I think. Last year at the World Championships in Oregon, she ran 12:52, which at that time, and I guess still remains, the fastest time ever not to make a final of the 100-meter hurdles. And it's tough. And this time again, she gets a 12:55, and she looked really reasonably good in the race, and we can get into that in a second. And the 12:55 is just not good, not enough to get her into that final. She's pipped up by Kambunji, who's also having a fantastic season, who had run 12:4 this year for a new Swiss national record. But Tapper must be reeling. But the first semi-final was a fantastic one, a very fast one, the fastest of the lot. And it featured the former world record holder Kendra Harrison, who is now training with the great Bobby Kersey, who came out yesterday in the opening round and ran a 12:24, which is fourth on the all-time list or somewhere around there. And this evening she comes back again and runs really hard, 12:33, fantastic time, super time, bringing the likes of a Devon Charlton out of the Bahamas, and Kambunji just pipping ahead, moving ahead of Megan Tapper. And I thought Tapper started well, but it wasn't to be. So it was a super fast time, so fast that Megan Tapper's 12:55 would have won the second 100 meter hurdles, 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 100 meter semi-final. So the second semi-final was won by the defending champion. And the good evening. Before I get into that, how are you doing, Clyde? Thank you for joining me. Were you trying to get on and it wasn't working? Interesting. We're seeing your comments now. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I'm not quite sure if other people are trying to put things on the chat and we're not having it, but your chat just came in. So yeah, thanks for joining tonight. All right. So yeah, let's go to the second semifinal of the women's 100-meter hurdles. It saw the likes of the defending champion world record holder Toby Amason out of Nigeria winning in 12:56, ahead of Jamaica's Akira Nugent 12:60, and Vessa coming in third, but her time wasn't good enough to, even though she ran a season's best, wasn't good enough to make it into the final. And so, Tapa again must be upset because, her time would have won this semifinal. I thought Akira Nugent looked really good coming out. She then hit a hurdle late on, and I think that's when Toby secured her dominance, and she couldn't get it back. So some more clean hurdling might be important for Nugent moving forward as she goes to try and do something in the final tomorrow. But we must spare a thought for Masai Russell, who, like Nugent, has had a very long collegiate season and a big rivalry between both of them. And it was unfortunate to see Masai crash out. You never want to see people crashing out. It's tough, early exit. And I think it was a major surprise for me as well. When I watched the replay and I was looking at it, I thought she came out too hard. I think she was a little bit too aggressive. Maybe, trying to get to that hurdle really quickly. Hits it, loses her balance, and she crashes out. And it's very unfortunate. And this is one of those things. The hurdles are unforgiving. You work hard and, next thing you know, you're flat on your face or you're running sideways on the track, and and you can never recover. Once you get into those troubles, you don't recover. So it's tough for her. And then the third and final semifinal featured the Olympic champion, a woman that I think is very tough in terms of her mental focus, Jasmine Camacho Quinn. And also a woman, finishing in a time of 12:41, fantastic time ahead of Nia Ali, 12:49, and Daniel Williams out of Jamaica, the 2015 world champion over 100-meter hurdles, getting the small Q in 12:50 in a season best. It was good hurdling, I thought, too, also from Williams, and Camacho Quinn is just focus. Nia Ali coming with that late finish again. She's really good. And I feel I have a lot of soft spot for Nia because of what's happened to her before as well. And I think it sets us up nicely for a fantastic final. We have the Olympic champion again. We have the world record holder in the final, the former world record holder. We have world champions of previous years in the likes of Ali and Daniel Williams. Who knows? But a word for Kendra Harris, because I think Kendra is someone that Harrison is someone that I haven't. The mental focus this year looks different. I mean, it's under a different operation. I really wonder how fast she can go, because it doesn't make sense to run a 12:2, pushing hard in the opening round. Then you come back and you run a 12:3, which is super fast too, in the semifinals expected. So you have to think that she's in such of a shape that she can replicate that 12:2 or run better. Otherwise, then there's questions about why run that hard. But the final is tomorrow. I think it's going to be fantastic, and we look forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for joining me tonight on the channel. I really appreciate you, and we're here unpacking a number of things tonight that occurred at the World Championships Day 5. Fantastic. It's extraordinary performances, and if you're just joining me, we can catch up. I'm happy to to talk about things I've already talked about already. I've talked about Warholm, I've talked about Paulino, I've talked about Inga Britson, or more importantly, Josh Kerr. We've talked about Kennedy and Moon in terms of the pole vault, and we're here now unpacking the women's 100-meter hurdles, and it's going to be a sensational final. Sensational final. You have the likes of Harrison in lane 4, Amazon in lane 5, Charlton in 6, Camacho Queen 7, Nugent 8, Kambunji 9, Niali is in 3, and the Jamaican Daniel Williams in 2. So really, really super fast people there, and we'll see what kind of shape everybody's in after they get that rest and they can kick on tomorrow. All right, thank you so much. I don't know if anybody else is having trouble with the chat, but I don't suspect it should be having any trouble. We did get through Clive's message. He asked if the live chat was working, and so maybe there's issues with the chat. Maybe my producer check it out and see if there's anything going on with the chat. All right, so thank you all, and I will now move along, and I want to spend a little bit of time quickly talking about the qualifications for the women's triple jump. We got to see some really good performances. The Jamaican athlete Shanika Ricketts with a season best of 14:67. This year has not been one of the greatest jump years for her, but hopefully she will find the right form and find her way on that podium. But the likes, everybody that we're anticipating seeing made it through. I mean, Ricketts was a one and done. We saw Beth Romanchek also comfortable. Hernandez out of Cuba. The great Yulimar Rojas is there. I mean, I think everybody is in the mix. Kimberly Williams from Jamaica, always there. I think Jasmine Moore at one point had to dig deep to qualify. She at one point I was getting a little bit nervous about because she's also outstanding. But all the women are there, and LaFonda as well has been jumping really well. So we have women capable of jumping really far. I suspect that every time we get to a major triple jump final, Yulimar Rojas is locked on for the world record. Not for the world record, for the gold medal, rather. And so I often think that everybody else is trying to get silver and bronze. But it should be a fantastic competition, good jumps, and yeah, not much to talk about, especially for the top athletes who qualified comfortably. All right, so that's that I wanted to touch quickly on that. Let's go quickly and over the 5,000 meter semifinals. So we had the semifinals of the heats rather of the women's 5,000. We had 2 of them. As you know, the first 8 in each heat, comfortably get through. So it's not World Athletics changed the rules. It goes straight, no timing, and everything. And I think Beatrice Chebet in the first heat looked really good, along with Sagai, Gudev Sagai, who won the 10,000 meters after Sifan Hassan fell on her face. I think she's on course again to medal, are looking really good. And so Chebet, Sagai, Kip Boy also looking good. So there's a number of athletes making it through. The USA's Cranny also did well to get through, and Monson as well. And I think the 5,000 meters is setting up for a good pace. 14:57 doesn't seem like they were really breaking much of a sweat there. And in the second semifinal, it features the newly minted world record holder, the woman to me that's having the greatest season in track and field, Faith Kipyegon. There's not a single person that's having a better season than Faith Kipyegon. I don't care who you are. I said it last night. You cannot tell me otherwise. 3 world records, also winning the 1,500 meters, and were she to straight on for the athlete of the year for me. It doesn't even matter what happens in the 1,500 meters, but were she to come back and win that as well. And it will be tough because Faith hasn't run a lot of 1500 meters in recent times, not 1500, 5000 rather. But were she to come back and win the 5000 meters, it would just put a lot more cement on that. That would just make my conviction even stronger. I don't think you can look past her. Sifan Hassan back from doing yeoman's work, a lot of heroic work there, doing the 10,000, 1500, and 5,000 meter double. She was comfortably pushing out a little bit, then he easing back. And then at the line, I guess she really wanted to tell Fate that I will win this qualifier. I'm not quite sure why. But Sifan won in a time of 14:32:29, just ahead of Fate Kipyegon. You could hardly see the separation. Taya from Ethiopia as well. And, so all of these athletes going through, I think it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic race. I expect the medals to go with Hassan, Kipyegon, and Gudaf Segai. I mean, I think Chebet could do something as well, but I'm not quite sure if they can kick. I don't know where Sifan will be at that point in time, because she's been doing a lot of running, also suffered heartbreak rather, from the fall in the 10,000 meters. But I suspect her, kind of a seasoned veteran, I think there's a lot of endurance there this year as well, especially when we think about what happened at the London Marathon, her winning the marathon. And so I think in order for you to really win this, I think you have to be strategic. I think you have to go out hard. You have to up the pace and put pressure on Fate, because if you allow Fate Kipyegon to control this, she's going to outsprint you. I don't think Sifan Hassan's sprint kick is where it used to be. I think Segai has a good kick as well, but Kipyegon's is best of all right now. And so what you want to do is to push it out, and we'll see what happens. But that was a fantastic, fantastic 2 qualifications over 5,000 meters. All right. Let me go through some more things. We can come back to a few more things, but let me go back to the morning session really quickly, and then we can also come back to the evening session if you so desire. There's a number of important things that happened this morning let us saw. What are you saying, Clyde? I don't see any other. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Maybe other people aren't chatting and you're the only one chatting. I mean, nobody feels like they want to talk tonight, Yeah, but feel free to join in if you want. I guess I have a silent life tonight, but it's fine, Sometimes we have a lot of talking, other times we don't. But yeah, I want to go and talk about the morning session, which we saw some good events this morning. A number of qualifying things happening. Let me first start with the men's long jump before I get into the 200 meters and so on. The men's long jump was really good, really good, led by Wayne Pinnock out of Jamaica, who happened to deliver a world leading time of 8.45 meters. Fantastic jump, good wind and everything. Wang was also did well. Kieran McLeod, Jamaica has 3 guys, former world champion as well. Tajege qualifying. Dendi had to work hard to get in as well, but he made it. Even Jiswin Aldrin, the Indian record, is he the national record holder? If he wasn't, I think he's the national record holder. He prior to he coming into this event, he was the world leader. Hammer, I think, also made it through. He's also a former medalist. So a lot of important people are there in the final. The top 12 looks good, and I think we're on course to see some good jumping. And who knows if Pinnock can replicate, I think he might be able to do something. McLeod as well. Tentoglu is in the mix. Once Tentoglu is in the mix, he knows how to deliver medals. He's done it on a number of occasions. And there's also a mental factor there. He knows when to jump big time. And so what you want to do is to get big jumps out early, and maybe we'll see what happens. But the long jump final has a number of high quality athletes there. the likes of Adendi, the likes of Ihama, Pinnock, Wang, Tentoglu, McLeod, Ihama. Even Williams is a good jumper from the United States. So I'm expecting to see a good performance when we get there. So yeah, that's the recap of the men's long jump, and I wanted to just touch briefly on. All right, thanks again, everybody. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that like button for me. That way, other people know that we're live. All right, let's go quickly to the 200 meters, because that is something that I guess a lot of people want to talk about. The sprints are always high on demand, and we'll start with the men's 200 meters before we get to the women. A number of good performances, I thought, in the men's 200 meters. I thought Zarnell Hughes looked comfortable in his heat. He managed to dip below 20 seconds. Brown from Canada was in the mix as well. Yeah, so Zarnell, one of the early standouts, he looked really comfortable, and I think he looked happy, already securing a medal from the 100 meters. There's not much there. In the second heat, we saw the defending champion, the two-time defending champion, the 100-meter champion, the man who says he will run 19:10 this year, Noah Lyles, fantastic athlete, also very comfortable, I thought, just doing the motions. And the Jamaican Andrew Hudson coming in second, looking very good as well. And, there's not much we can say here. We haven't really seen anything. It's the opening round, and you expect the important people to just cruise through. And that was the same for Letsile Tobogo. I don't think he was running today. Botswana, and also on the medal podium. He just comfortably did what he had to do ahead of Joseph Fambule, and getting through. Reyes from Switzerland also making it through. And so, it was a good, easy run out. I'm expecting these guys to run the likes of Lyles, and I think Zarnell could potentially break the British record again. I expect Tobogo to go 19:4, if he assuming that he's in the kind of shape after the rounds in the 100 meters. I was also impressed by Rodney from out of Canada, season's best performance as well. I think he was easy and comfortable. It's not, I just watched those races and I didn't really see anything to that was special. The Japanese kid Uzawa also looked comfortable, 20:34. Lindsay from the United States, he has to watch out. You have to watch out for him too. I think he has a lot of ability, and what Rashid Dwyer, the Olympic finalist, also comfortably through. And and then Heat 7 featured Kenny, and Kung Fu Kenny looked fairly well. I mean, I think he was resting up. There's not much we can say about that. I think in my early predictions, I never had Kung Fu Kenny doing much, but I think he much in terms of getting on a medal podium this year. But you never know. I mean, a rested guy, experience, he might make it. And I had missed out on Heat 6 that featured the kid Aaron Knighton, I think, who has a lot of upside, finishing comfortably 2017 ahead of Andre DeGrasse. And DeGrasse, as many of you know, we always think comes to these championships and you can't really look at his early season form to know exactly what kind of shape he is in. And, he looked okay as well. So we'll see. So those are the men that will advance to the semifinals, and that should be an impressive semifinals. And we haven't really lost anybody of great note, especially the ones that we think that can challenge for a medal come Friday. Is it Friday or Saturday? Yeah, I think it's Friday. I want to quickly also touch on the women's 200 meters. That saw the likes of a number of important athletes, very comfortable as well, I thought, in terms of all the important people that, we anticipate will make it to the next round. I was impressed by Strawn. I thought she was comfortable. Daryl Nita trying to bounce back. I don't know. I don't think she can make it to the final, but she'll favor in the semifinal. Favor Feely, who has been having one of those seasons, made it through best two as well. That was a comfortable thing. The second heat was much quicker. Featured the 100-meter champion Shakara Richardson, looking good. There's not much there ahead of Talou. And speaking of Shakari and Talou, both of them are also scheduled to meet Shericka Jackson again in the semifinal, and we can get to that. But Shakari looked good. I think she's running free. There's no real pressure on her. And, having won the 100-meter title, I think she's going to try and see if she can win the 200 meters and, match Shelley and Fraser Price from 2013. That would be tough to do, but we'll see. Julian Alfred is running the 200 meters as well. I think Alfred looked really good ahead of Natalia White and Bianca Williams from Great Britain. And even Gina Bass got through on a small queue. Alfred, there's not much we can say. The only thing I have to say is that Alfred has been running a lot. She's getting close to 50 races, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or at least mid-40s for the season. And that takes a toll on you. We saw that what that did to the likes of an Abby Steiner in previous years. And then she had to run really hard to get to the 100-meter final and in the 100-meter final. So I think our understanding of what Alfred might do maybe come next season when she is a full professional and can target a season that will allow her to deliver her best come Paris. But she looked good, and she's already in good thing. Gabby Thomas from the United States ahead of Kevona Davis, who also looked fairly well. But, Thomas made sure that she won that event ahead of the Netherlands, Gia. But Thomas, again, is also the world leader. I think she ran 21:60 this season. So you expect that she will be in fine form moving forward. When she had gone to that Diamond League to run Shericka Jackson, she didn't look good, but apparently it was on jet lag. She blamed it on jet lag. So coming into this championship, she's well rested, didn't run any 100 meters. So you expect her to be in good nick, and we'll see what happens. And then we also saw the likes of Adina Asher-Smith, the former world champion, comfortable for me as well. Dina is tough as nails. There's not much we can say about Dina. No matter how healthy she is, she always comes and delivers, and she shows up. So, that's how things went. Oh, and I forgot to talk about Shericka Jackson. Very comfortable. She ran a good bend, came off, foot off the gas, and cruised through. And so Jackson maximizing energy, I suppose. And I think that's what the top athletes want to do. Kudos to Adeja Hodge, the high schooler who, if you follow sports around, she's very, very good, and she made it into the semifinals with a small queue, and that must be a big thing for, I believe she's still 17. And so, so I'm looking forward to the semifinals, which will not be an easy semifinal. When you look at the lane draws, it's tough. If you think about the start list there, I think the first heat feature, as you know, only two will go through, and the two fastest. And the first semifinal features the likes of a Gabby Thomas, Adina Asher-Smith, and I think those two are the ones I would go through immediately. It also has Jaya and Kone, but you wanted, and Natalia White from Jamaica. But I think if you're Dina Asher-Smith and Gabby Thomas, you must feel comfortable with that semifinal. Semifinal number 2 now, however, as the likes of Strawn, Alfred, Kevona Davis, Hodge. And I think if you're Alfred, you're happy as well. And I don't think it's that complicated to get into the top 2 there. Now, somebody big will be sitting and waiting in semifinal number 3. You have the likes of a Marie-José Talou, who is not really a big-time 200-meter specialist. I mean, her personal best is just over 22 meters, 22.8, and she has a season best of 22.26, but not quite sure what shape she is in. But you expect the likes of a Shericka Jackson to qualify comfortably, and I also expect Sha'Carri Richardson to qualify comfortable too. So I would think it would be Jackson and Sha'Carri going through on the automatic qualification, and maybe the likes of a Talou might sweat it out if she decides to run hard and get into this final. Yeah. And you always have to feel it for Talou because she's been in the business so long, and if it was ever a year that you wanted to get on the medal podium, this would have been it. Because Fraser Price was not at her best, and she was patched up, and I talked about it the other night, but it's a testament to her how big her character, her resilience, that she can manage to go through pain, especially at that age, and still medal. And so the others have to question themselves, how can they allow that to happen? And they didn't allow her to medal. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. And if it's your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, if you've been here before, I appreciate you. And yeah, don't forget to put your stuff in the comments. It made me feel as if the chat isn't working tonight. Yeah, and hopefully you join me for the rest of the week. We have a giveaway in the next couple of days. It may be tomorrow, but it could also be on Friday. And so don't forget to join me on the live. All right, so that was the women's 200 meters. I think exceptional performances there, and let's go and talk quickly up as well about the 800 meters. The 800 meters, I have to say the women handled themselves creditably well. I watched all of the races. That was the first thing on track on the morning session, and so my memory is a little bit long now, but I thought that overall, in terms of managing the rounds, doing what you're supposed to be doing, the women were on point, very much on point. And let me tell you why. Because if you remember what happened yesterday in the men's 800 meters, you had a bunch of guys who weren't managing the timing of the race well. A lot of them were forcing to do major sprinting just to get into qualification positions, and we ended up losing a number of important names. But this wasn't the case this time. And so the first heat saw the Olympic silver medalist, the world silver medalist, the world leader, I believe, and if we're being honest with ourselves, probably the favorite for the gold medal, Keely Hodgkinson out of Great Britain. It was a sub 2 minute night. She won in 51:59:53 ahead of the South African Prudence Segodiso, and 1:59:72. And lovely running from Keely. I don't think she exerted herself too much. The South African was coming in there as well, but they just cruised right in. And the 800 meters, I believe 12 women were under 2 minutes. I think Atkins from the United States had the fastest time of 1:59:19, a little bit faster than I would have hoped to see her. But the world silver medalist in the first heat looked really comfortable, really comfortable. And if we move to heat number 2, we also saw another pre-race favorite in the likes of Mary Moore from Kenya, a woman I think that can potentially win the title as well, just ahead of Raven Rogers, a former medalist, multiple medalists, the American as well. So both of them qualifying comfortably. I don't think they did anything. It was more, the way I would look at it, if my memory is correct, is more of an energy preservation. Not much going on there. Heat number 3, I thought Yargo looked good. She was comfortable, strong, ahead of Herring and Cadwell as well. I think both of those, if I remember correctly, Caldwell rather, both of them look really okay. 1:59 for Yargo from and there's not much. It was more of an energy preservation, if I remember correctly. Heat number 4 also, we saw the 2019 world champion Nekai coming back, and it was a great run, I thought, looking good. But I was very impressed by Adele Tracy, who had a season best of 1:59.82. They had to do some hard work in order to get into the top 3, and so she did ahead of Lamothe from France. And you have to spare a thought for Tracy, as I mentioned the other night, because her time would have been good enough to win the semifinal and she didn't make it into the 1500-meter final, and it's just unfortunate. But World Athletics only goes with the top athletes now in the race. They have a predetermined amount of athletes that can qualify from the distance running events, and no longer relying on any fastest qualifier to get into the final. And so Tracy looked good to come back after that kind of disappointment. Yeah, I think in the other heat was also good running. I thought, let's see, it was Atkins, as I said, looking fairly well, 1:59.19. I guess pushing a little bit harder than I would have liked from Gemma Ricci, and Gemma Ricci is a big talent. I think she could find herself on the medal podium too if you're not careful. She had suffered from some injuries, but she's also very young, and I think she could do something as well. And yeah, so don't count out Jen Mariki. And Atkins looked good. I was really surprised. Alemu, also from Ethiopia, fantastic, 1:59.36, ahead of Bissett from Australia. All of these women, they got out fairly well, established position, and just held it, and they came home, right? It's about energy preservation. And then in the final heat of the day, we actually got a chance to see the defending champion, the Olympic champion, the woman that we wasn't sure if she was going to come to the World Championships. If you remember when Bobby Kersey was quoted in that article out of the LA Times, whether they were going to go on vacation or whether they were going to go to the World Championships here in Budapest. And then we saw sightings earlier this week of Athing Mo, and she was there. And I was still not confident that she would line up until I actually saw her on the track. And yet we did, and we saw her in some nice spikes, some really, I guess, blinged up spikes for the young people. And she looked okay. I don't really know how to judge it. I think she was very easy for 400 meters. I thought she went out hard. She put the race in a position that she was comfortable in. And coming home, on the second lap, she started to relax a lot more, and the others started to come up a little bit. And Natoya Gould from Jamaica, comes up and, tries to fight it out, and, wasn't giving it away, but as Mo was shutting it down. And so both, I think, Mo and Gould Topping qualified along with Hoffman from Switzerland. So we won't get our sense of where I think really is until we get into the semifinals. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. But a lot of good athletes there. A lot of people qualifying, looking good. Atkins, Bissett, Hutchinson, Almeyu, Mo, Toppin, Nakai, Gemariki, you name it, Miri Mora. There's a bunch of people with high quality that could challenge for this. I had said earlier on, if we had a fit Athing Mo and everybody is in full form, you could run 1:56 and finish last. I'm not quite sure we'll get to that, but you could run close to 1:57 and finish way down the track, which suggests that the 800 meters is in a good place, a steady place. So we'll look forward to the semifinals there and see what happens. All right, thank you everybody for joining me, and you all making me talk alone tonight on the on the live. all the people who I normally see aren't here. What are your thoughts on the events? Anyway, so yeah, there's a number of other things that I can cover, but I probably will save them. Tomorrow we look forward to some intense action again on the track, and I'm looking forward to that. We have the semifinals for both 200 meters there, men and women. We'll also see the final of the height of the hammer throw for women, long jump final. That should be exciting. We'll also see heats of the men's 5,000 meters. And looking forward, obviously, to the semifinals as well for the men's 800 meters. But more importantly, we'll end the night tomorrow with the final of the women's 100 meters. That's going to be a big thing. And 100 meter hurdle, sorry. And we'll also end with the 400 meter hurdles for women and the men's 400 meter final. So let's look at quickly on the start list for that. So the men's 400 meter final, we'll see the likes of the world record holder and the Olympic medalist from previous years and world champion Wade van Niekerk. He's going to be in lane 2. I mean, we saw Kirani James. We talked about James coming back after losing his coach. He's in the mix again. I never thought he would have been in the mix. Yes, Hudson Smith. You never count him out. He's been a medalist. Vernon Norwood, he's a fantastic individual. He's on his first, been on many relay teams. This time he's going to try and vie for a medal. Ingrid Vladsen from Norway there as well. But the guy that I'm most excited to see too is Antonio Watson. Can he come back after that 44-13 and at least replicate that? Because I think if you run 44-13 again or anywhere close to that, I certainly think you would be on the podium. Because we're missing some guys who I thought, it was certainly a missing Stephen Gardner, who I know would have gone sub 44 if he's fit and healthy. Wade, at the start of the season, I thought Van Niekerk would go sub 44 as well. Now I'm not quite sure. I don't think the rest are capable. I don't think Kirani is in that kind of shape this year. I think he's running on a lot of guts and grit. And I think it's anybody's game to win. I don't really know where. I think if you are Antonio Watson, you should seize this moment. Hudson Smith from Great Britain might be licking his lips as well. But it should be a fantastic final. I don't know where you think the gold medal will go. But I think Watson could actually spring a surprise. I'm now thinking about that. And then we'll end the night with what will be, I think, a 51 flat or very close to it in the women's 400 meter hurdles. And we're going to see a couple of races in one race. I think we're going to see Femke Bol on the clock by herself trying to push boundaries in the absence of a Sydney McLaughlin. Who knows what she will run this year? Her PB is 51.45. I think she could run 51 flat. And then, there's Litte, who I think has the potential to go really fast. Definitely has gone low or mid 52s already. She's gone under 53 this season as well. And she's the only woman outside of Femke, I think, that can genuinely say that if she runs 52, could be in the mix. Then there's Anna Cockrell, I think, who is really a good runner. Very excellent finish. And then there's a bunch of Jamaicans that could really spring a surprise. Excellent running by the likes of a Rochelle Clayton in the semifinals. We know Genevieve Russell if she gets anywhere close to her personal best, could potentially find her way close to the medal podium. So it's going to be a competitive affair, but I think Femke Bol will win this by a country mile, as people like to say. It's going to be an easy victory for her, providing that nothing of a mishap happens. And I think she's going to try and push it, because in her mind, that background training she did, I think, in South Africa, a lot of work indoor. At one point, I thought Femke was running too much indoor. The 400-meter indoor world record this year. She has the speed. She has the endurance. She's been improving the hurdling technique. Still a little rough. They've been working on how many steps and cutting down a few. So I think Femke will start odds-on favorite. And you never know how fast she can run. If it's a good night, maybe we get a 51 flat. So we'll wait to see. But a number of things will happen tomorrow, and it's going to be exciting. And I hope you guys are watching and enjoying the track and field. I want to thank you guys again for joining me tonight. I look forward to hearing from those of you who will watch on the rebroadcast. Don't forget to put your comments in the chat. If you put them in the rebroadcast, I'll definitely respond to them. And I want to thank you again, and I'm going to call it a night as we leave. Hopefully you can smash that like button, and don't forget to come back for the rest of the week. I have a prize to give away. It may be tomorrow, it may be on Friday. So join me on the live again. And I want to thank you, and subscribe, hit the notification bell. And I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.